The forest was thick and mysterious, the silence interrupted only by the rustle of leaves underfoot and the distant cries of forest birds. As usual, I went on a mushroom hunt, enjoying the solitude and tranquility the forest offered. The day was overcast, with a gray sky menacingly hanging over the treetops. I walked slowly, carefully inspecting the ground for mushrooms. Soon my efforts were rewarded ahead. Under an old birch tree, I spotted a large white mushroom. Approaching closer, I saw an entire patch of mushrooms, as if someone had scattered them just for me. I squatted and began collecting the mushrooms in my basket, feeling a slight joy from the successful find. Suddenly, a soft cry reached my ears. I froze, listening, thinking I had imagined it. But no, the cry repeated, this time louder and closer. I straightened up, looking around. The sound was coming from the depths of the forest, a place I usually avoided. That area always seemed ominous to me, and I tried to steer clear of it. However, curiosity got the better of me. Slowly and cautiously, I walked towards the sound, trying not to make noise. My heart beat faster, and thoughts swirled in my head about who could be crying in such a remote place. Soon, I came out into a small clearing where I saw a girl. She was sitting on her haunches, back to me, seemingly unaware of my approach. I moved closer and quietly called out to her. "Excuse me, do you need help?" The girl turned to me abruptly, and I recoiled in horror. She had no face. Instead of the usual eyes, nose, and mouth, I saw smooth skin, as if someone had erased all her features. My heart pounded even faster, blood freezing in my veins. "Who are you?" I managed to say, trying not to show my fear. She didn't respond, just slowly rose to her feet and took a step towards me. I wanted to run, but my legs wouldn't obey, paralyzed by terror. The girl reached out to me, and I noticed her fingers were longer than usual, with sharp claws at the ends. "Help me," whispered a voice in my head, though the girl's lips didn't move. I didn't know what to do. Fear mixed with pity, and I couldn't decide on anything. The girl kept approaching, and when only a few steps remained between us, I finally came to my senses and bolted, not caring about the direction. Branches whipped my face, snagged my clothes, but I didn't stop, racing forward, hoping only to escape this nightmare. Only at home did I manage to calm down and catch my breath. The strange encounter wouldn't leave my mind, and I sat in my room for a long time, trying to understand what had happened. I decided not to tell anyone about it, fearing they'd think I was crazy. That night, I had nightmares, with the faceless girl again and again reaching out to me with her clawed fingers. A few days passed before I dared to return to the forest. Something drew me there, perhaps the desire to understand what really happened. I followed the same path, trying not to think of the worst. Reaching the clearing, I froze in place. Where the girl had sat, there now stood an old, crooked cross entwined with dry branches. I approached and saw that words were carved into the cross. "Here lies the nameless." A chill ran down my spine. I had never noticed this cross before. My mind swirled with questions, but there were no answers. Suddenly, I heard a rustle behind me. I turned and saw her again. She stood at the edge of the clearing, still faceless, but now emanating a strange calm. She didn't move, just stared at me with her non-existent face. I realized there was no running away. Approaching closer, I asked, "What do you need?" Again, the same voice echoed in my head. "Help me find peace." I didn't know how to help her, but something inside suggested that the cross was the key. I began digging around the cross until I hit something solid. It was an old wooden box. Inside, I found an old necklace and a letter. The letter was handwritten, the text barely legible, but I managed to read it. "I am here because I was betrayed. Please, if anyone finds this letter, bury me next to my family." I realized I had found her last wish. Taking the necklace and the letter, I went to the cemetery in the neighboring village. There, with the help of the local priest, we held a modest ceremony, and I buried the girl's remains with her necklace. The next day, I went back to the forest, to the place where I first met the girl. The clearing was empty, the cross was gone, and the forest seemed brighter and more welcoming. I felt I had done the right thing. Since then, I never saw the faceless girl again. The forest once again became a place of peace and solitude for me, but I always remembered that strange encounter. Perhaps it was a ghost, or maybe a figment of my imagination, but one thing I knew for sure: sometimes we have a chance to help those who have already passed find peace. And I was glad I could do it.